Yep.
All right, we are recording, and you know what we're not going to forget this week?
Our intro.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Movie Rubric. I am Timothy McDaniel.
Cole Wright.
And Josh Glass.
There it was.
There it
Last
is.
week's episode was cursed.
In case you forgot who we were.
Erase it. Yeah, they don't even know our names.
Yep.
Yes, all three of you that listen.
Yep.
I have a student who actually told me tonight at the football game that he listens to the beginning of all of our episodes. But he doesn't listen to the rest of them because he wants to go see the movies and hasn't yet. So he goes, I listen until you say spoilers and then I tune out. And it's like, you know what? I'm glad you listened to the first half of that. So Joey, thank you if you're out there. Go see Spiderverse. That is the movie we're going to be covering today. We're talking about
Beyond
the Spiderverse. The second.
Is it Beyond?
It's across the
Spider-Verse.
Spiderverse.
Beyond the third one.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a lot of Spider-Verse thing happening.
I don't think that's a spoiler to say that they have confirmed this is going to be a trilogy, you know? So yeah, they are making another one. So, I mean, let's just kind of dive right into this one. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Should people go see the second Spider-Verse movie, regardless of its title? Mm-hmm. I'm 2 thumbs up. I think if you liked the first one, if you like Spider-Man, go see it.
I would agree. If you are a Spider-Man fan, go see this movie because it has a lot of if you know like the alternate Spider-Men. What's the correct plural?
Spider people.
Spider folk. Yeah, you'll enjoy this movie a lot.
Yeah. I'm kind of conflicted because I don't know. I never watched the first one all the way through, and then this one, it was a good movie. I probably could have just waited till it was on streaming. I'm not a huge Spider-Verse buff, but
that's an L take.
So here's,
I'm going to give some hot takes today.
Here's my thing, Josh. I'm going to preface this. I liked Spider-Verse. Is it my favorite Spider-Man movie? Like either of them? No, but I know that's kind of been the hot take, at least from people I've talked to in social media.
I wouldn't say it's everyone's favorite. I wouldn't say
a lot of people like it though.
I'd say it is a lot of people's favorite, but I would say to say it's not your favorite is not a hot take. I think that many people's favorite is probably No Way Home.
Yeah.
Followed by maybe the original trilogy, the first movie.
Yeah. Definitely just for me, my favorite Spider-Man movie is No Way Home.
Yeah.
Because I think that one does, which we've had this conversation, Tyler, where it's doing something different than what Spider-Verse is doing.
Yeah.
Even though it's kind of the premise of you have the multiverse, but this is more it's like a tribute to the live action kind of in a way for No Way Home. Well, Spider-Verse is kind of does its own thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're separate entities for sure.
Yeah.
Here's my hot take. Other than No Way Home, I think my favorite Spider-Man live action is Homecoming.
That's not I'm trying to think where I would even have Homecoming.
I like the original trilogy. I don't like Tobey Maguire. I look at him and I see a 30-year-old man playing a high schooler.
They were all 30-year-old people playing high schoolers.
Yeah, and it's just weird. And now that I work in a high school, I look at him and it's I'm uncomfortable.
You think Flash Thompson was a high schooler? Please.
That's the problem. That's the thing.
It's clearly another 30-year-old.
But
with the
Tom Holland and the guy who plays Ned and
they all seem like
they're at least in their 20s.
Drawing a blank on the girl who played Michelle. They're all
Zendaya.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They all look like they're passable for high schoolers, and in their emotions and the way that they portray the characters, it's so much better in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I think which I have a soft spot for first one and the second one of the Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi trilogy. Because it was the first, I've seen, we've seen a ton of superhero movies now in theaters and stuff. That was the very first one for me. It was the first time you see, holy crap, a superhero live action movie.
I think one of mine was one of the Supermans. I don't know what Superman it would have been, but I will say the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man was my first superhero movie I liked that I saw in theaters because I didn't like.
You had some X-Men movies out about that point.
You know what? X-Men 2. Or not X-Men 2, but X-Men TOO. I also my dad was a huge X-Men fan.
X-Men as well.
Because for me, Spider-Man, which Spider-Man's my favorite hero. We talked about that on the tier list. I mean, I watched the... which it was done airing new episodes by the time I was old enough, but it was the 90s animated series.
The really goofy one.
Yeah, it's so good. it's one of those things where it's like is the writing and stuff aged well?
Is it good? Is it good though?
I think from a nostalgia standpoint, if you like Spider-Man,
From a nostalgia standpoint,
it's a comic book. It's like, hey, it's like shut it off and enjoy it. It's a comic book, right? Like with Guardians.
I'm going to grab that to like bring us back to this movie a little bit. If you like that nostalgia, like that little thing that like tickles the like, hey, remember this part of the back of your
berries.
brain. Yeah, the member berries. This movie was great at that. Tons of references. Cole, you said if you're a Spider-Man fan, you'd like this movie. I'd say if you're not the biggest Spider-Man fan, you'll still enjoy it. But I'd say if you're someone like you, who when you see all these iconic characters, I recognize, I think, half of the amount that you did. And there are some people out there that will probably be able to recognize all of them. Be like, oh, yeah, I know him, her.
A lot of those came from the Spider-Man 2000 is what it's called now, but it was just called Spider-Man for PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
Had all those costumes you could unlock, and back in the day, you just
remember you playing that, yeah.
type in the cheat code and get all the costumes. Like, I'm going to get all these cool ones.
Yeah. So, no, I really liked this movie. It was very funny and also very heartwarming at many times.
Yeah, Spider-Man should be.
As Spider-Man should be. Josh is just a big loser.
Yep.
What was it? Hold on. Before we go in and we start talking about the rest of the movie, what was it about the movie that makes you think, I could have waited for DVD?
I'm not super invested in the story. So for me, I wasn't like pumped, ready to see where this goes. And I don't know. The animation's really cool. I liked all the tropes, but it kind of tired of a lot of the multiverse stuff. I just feel like we just keep getting it rehashed. And I felt like the movie was really slow to me. Like there was quite a bit of action, but I just feel like it was just like the same thing happening over and over again to me.
I am also getting over multiverse stuff. But the thing, I think this movie did multiverse right, where it's lighthearted and you shouldn't really be thinking about it. And like, it's not trying to follow a bunch of rules. Like, it's just like, here's all these spider people.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy the Spider Cat.
Yeah.
Just don't break any canon.
Don't break any canon. So let's use that. I was going to say, but no, I think that this one is better than like, I don't know, like Ant-Man and like Loki, where they're starting to go with that. Where Marvel,
Multiverse of Madness, I would say, yeah, it's better than that too.
Yeah, where Marvel's starting to take the multiverse is becoming like Marvel's cinematic MCU is starting to become overdone, cliche. We've seen this. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
I think that this movie did it well, but I could understand how the fatigue from those movies could carry over to this.
Yeah. And like I said, I like Spider-Man. Spider-Man's one of my favorite superheroes, but it's just, I don't know.
That's all right.
It's never really hit with me.
You're entitled to bad opinions.
I know.
Even if they're bad.
Wait a minute. For once, it's not me that has the crazy hot take. I like being on this side.
It's true. It's all right. I had the hot take on liking Avatar, so I mean, I have the hottest take potentially.
Yeah, I mean, and drug us to Suzume. I mean,
I've had my fair share of
that's
hot takes.
Just the fact that you brought us to Suzume was
true.
That's just a take in itself.
I'm gonna have to rewatch that again, and then my hot take might be when I come back and I'm rubbing my temples. It's like I liked it.
Like, don't lie to yourself. You didn't like it.
I did not like our viewing for sure. Alrighty, let's get in. Let's talk about spoilers before we like really talk about spoilers. Joey, the student I mentioned earlier, asked me, do you like it better than the first one? And I said, I can't answer that yet. And he said, why not? And I didn't want to like answer why. So like, spoiler warning, here it is. We're going to talk about spoilers. I thoroughly enjoyed that this movie was a part 1 of 2. But that also is why I'm reserving my opinion. As the whole, I didn't think this movie was quite as good as the first one, but it's the first half. The second half may change that.
Yeah.
It was very much a like first half, second half. It was kind of, you don't see that very often in movies anymore, where it's just like almost like a cartoon TV show is what it kind of reminded me of. It was like, and join us next week to see if the heroes finally make it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Very comic booky thing to do. Yeah. You're right. And I love that you don't see part 1, part 2s very often. The closest we've gotten like in recent memory is like Infinity War and Endgame. But wasn't there a movie in between those even?
Not an Avengers movie.
Not an Avengers movie.
There was Captain Marvel, and
which is a prequel.
That was a prequel, and that, I mean, as far as like, I'm trying to think back like what released around that time because Black Panther was already out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there was much if anything, like between those.
So that's a decent example, though. So, like, that's the last time I think I've seen a true, like, hey, if you liked this and you want to finish the story, you have to watch the next one. And I, if it's done well, really like those.
Yeah.
So I was happy about that. I started to wonder about halfway, 3/4 of the way through the movie. I was like, I feel like we have a lot of ground to cover.
It's like the main villain that they introduce is like there, and then he's gone. Mm-hmm. And then he's there for a snippet to remind you that he's there, and then he's just gone. So it's like, when are we going to ever get to this guy?
What a way to introduce is Spot a reoccurring villain? Is he new?
He is a very obscure villain.
He is a real. He's existed.
He was in I believe in one of the, like, he had some appearance in the comics, and I think he had an episode in the animated series in the 90s. But like, it was like a one-off, like how they joked about you're the villain of the week kind of thing is how he's kind of treated.
Okay. Well, so he's part of the canon.
He ain't no Doc Ock or Green Goblin kind of thing.
That's cool, though. I like that they grabbed someone instead. I would not have been upset if they made someone new.
They kind of did that with Kingpin, though. I mean, he's not been like the biggest big bad of like any. I mean, he's kind of.
I would say Kingpin's pretty. Wilson Fisk is a very standard Spider-Man Marvel villain.
I mean, like compared to what you could have done, though. I mean, when
your villains,
Goblin, Rhino, Scorpion, Shocker, all those guys.
Isn't Wilson part of the Sinister Six?
Who?
Isn't Kingpin part of the Six?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought he was. I don't know. I consider Kingpin a pretty big villain, especially considering he crosses into Daredevil and Punisher.
Yeah, I mean,
and he
let me rephrase. You don't really see him in like. I don't really associate him like he's involved with Spider-Man, but it's like he's not like in the first like 10 I think of for like a villain for Spider-Man.
I got you. If you play the Spider-Man game, which was featured in this movie in a very cool, unique way, he's literally like the first villain. Kingpin is, and he appears regularly throughout the game. So
he's not one of like the for me at least one of the main bad ones I'm thinking of.
Mm-hmm. Well, the point I was gonna make was what a way to make a villain a joke. And then 180 it and make it like, oh my gosh, this guy is actually kind of cool and he's actually a threat.
It's like, because I've seen the trailers. Tyler, you didn't see any of the trailers. Mm-mm. Hey, doggo. When they introduced it, like he was in the trailer, but it was just that opening bit where they're fighting in the convenience store.
Uh-huh. So you didn't realize he was gonna be like the main.
No, I thought it was just gonna be like a way to. Oh, here's Miles Morales. He's just doing his job. He's just gonna. I figured it'd be like part of like a montage or like just a way to kind of get you going, like get pumped up for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what it seemed like it was going to be, and then it just kept getting more and more involved.
Like crap, he's kind of a big old threat now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I thought that was cool. Yeah, because like he was very, very lame in the first 20 minutes, and then very quickly became someone that's like, wow, this dude is like a huge threat. Thought that was really cool. In general, I actually thought this was kind of cool. I was copying and pasting my notes so I could have my bullet points from last week's episode, Guardians, so I could just kind of start and have a template for this week's. And my first 6 or so bullet points for Guardians were character development. It felt like a comic book movie, like a real comic book movie. Themes of everyone having their own strengths, camera work, and the jokes and animation were really good. And I realized I was like, I don't even have to change those. Like, all of those apply to this movie. The characters were awesome. There wasn't as much character development on the wider scale in this one, but I feel like with some of the stuff they did with Gwen, especially, was very, very cool. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it feels like a comic book movie. It's this and the first one are maybe the most comic book movies that have come out.
Yeah, I mean, they literally have like panes of comic book like in the same shot.
They do like reference notes in the corner.
Yeah,
they mention like the in between the handles. Like it's the most comic book movie. And then like animation and camera work, I thought was phenomenal in both movies. I think they stepped up the camera work in this one quite a bit.
Yeah. My take, the animation obviously was really good. I think there was times though where when they got a lot going on, it becomes overstimulating it kind of makes you squint a little bit, make your eyes hurt a little bit. Like it was just a lot happening, at least for me. Like we're just trying to keep track of everything that's going on can be exhausting, which is a good and a bad thing. It's like, okay, a lot of cool stuff happening, but it's hard to walk like in one go, just trying to keep track of everything that's happening on screen.
Yeah, I can see that. Maybe it's because I'm a seasoned weeb. I never had that problem in particularly, but I can understand that. I think it'll make it good for a second and third viewing because you'll catch new things.
There's tons of stuff in the background, and I was, which Tyler, you're sitting next to me in the theater. I'm flipping out during all the stuff in the background. Like, they had what I said. Go back and listen to the Guardians episode. It's like they gotta get my boy Tobey Maguire in there. He was in the background of one. Like there he is.
Andrew Garfield was in there too,
and Andrew Garfield was in the foreground.
Yeah,
They
we got what
featured.
you wanted. You got Andrew Garfield. We got Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
We got a reference to No Way Home at the beginning.
Yeah, actually, Andrew Garfield's okay. Tom Holland is my favorite. They didn't show Tom Holland at all, did they?
I don't think so.
No.
They referenced
him. Yeah.
And what I thought was a cool way.
Yeah.
Like they make the No Way Home canon to this one.
It's like you kind of have to bring, like, I guess you have multiverse, you have to bring it up because also, especially you have the other two there.
Yeah.
Wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
On the animation, did either of you guys notice? It felt like maybe there was like some frame rate issues. I felt like there was like some jitter going on some of it. Maybe that's just the animation style, but it didn't feel super smooth in some ports.
I think that's intentional.
Okay.
They in the first movie they actually did, and I may be making these numbers up. I want to say they actually purposely, whenever Miles got scared, animated him at half the frame rate they animated everyone else, and then as he came into his own and became Spider-Man, they started animating him at the same frame rate. I think because it's a comic book panel page movie, they purposely omitted things and didn't make it super smooth. That's part of they did it in the first one too. It's definitely part of the style.
Yeah, there's some times where I felt like though, like I just like a couple of times where it felt like the mouth movements when they would animate them, they were off just like a tad.
I agree, and I didn't know if it was the theater because I felt like the vocals in our theater were quiet and weird.
Like, it felt like it wasn't like the whole movie. It'd be like it just random points like now it feels like the audio's off and then it gets back on.
Yeah, I did notice that too. It almost felt like we were watching a dubbed movie almost at certain parts.
I noted in my notes here that I thought while the animation was more ambitious, there were parts that it looked worse.
I mean, I like the idea that they had like at the beginning with Vulture, how it's like pulls him from like the Da Vinci era.
That was pretty cool.
And it's like he's in that art style. I like it when they do that. Some of them I did not like. The one specifically I didn't like, and he's like the coolest one, is good old Hobie there.
Hobie. I loved
punk rock Spider-Man.
I love the design. I didn't like his little like the animation style of him.
I actually loved punk Spider-Man.
I love the design. Don't love the animation.
I love that he had like, what is it, like graffiti paper marks like behind him when he moved. Like he was actually one of the ones I'm fine with. Whenever they had a style to them, I usually thought they looked good. Most of the time when we're in Miles's universe or dealing with Miles's people, there's like that comic booky dot mesh filter applied over him. Hobie had his own style.
The one from Mumbai, he had his own style.
He had his own style too. The ones where it really stood out to me and I thought it looked cheap was who's the vampire Spider-Man?
2099. That's Miguel O'Hara.
Him. There's a couple times when it was panning on him. He doesn't have an effect put on him. He's just like a very, very plain, non-detailed CG model, and it looked kind of like it popped out a little bit in a bad way.
The lady did too. The lady who rode the motorcycle, she was the same way. She looked like she came straight out of
Spider-Man. Pregnant Spider-Woman.
And
Spider-Woman.
I can appreciate, here's where I said it's ambitious, that they animated them differently. They didn't animate everyone the same, but blending wise, it kind of made them look fake from time to time. And then even towards the end of the movie, when Miles is in the wrong universe and Prowler Miles is approaching him, his little like crown cape thing, for some reason, like it popped out and it just looked really bad, standing out like as this bright, non-filtered purple against the rest of the world. I don't know if maybe it's just me. Maybe I'll like it more in a second viewing, but I definitely thought that the animation could have used more polish.
Yeah. I'd like to see it in a 4K high res
True too.
Viewing, but yeah. Overall, the animation was really good, but there was just a few moments where it was just like,
This is one of those movies.
Interesting.
You're going to have to turn off motion smoothing when you like watch this at home. If you have a motion smoothing TV, like I know you use it on your TV. This is one of those, if you turn it on, where those purposeful frames are omitted, like the TV is going to try to interpolate it at like 60 and it's going to make stuff up and it's going to look really janky. So
I never notice it. You always point it out, though.
I'm a frame rate snob. Yeah. What can I say?
Oh, what? You?
Me? I know.
Never.
Wild. Never.
Give me my 120 or it's trash.
Hey, that's the opposite end of the spectrum. That's gaming. I want more frames, and then with some movies I want less. You know, there's a happy medium per the genre. Going on, what were your guys' favorite part of this movie?
I liked the spider chase.
That was mine.
Because I saw a thing where that thing took 4 years to animate.
That's what I read too, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it. Yeah, like it was massive undertaking.
Like that had to have been like the first thing they were doing because, I mean, you kind of, first one released in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
They were working on that thing since the last one ended. Like,
especially when you start trying to do all those different art styles we were talking about and make them different but work together. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the camera work on it was, I don't know how much you guys like look into like animation styles, but they usually like block everything out on a wall with like keyframes. Like, hey, we're going to hit here at this moment, hit here at this moment. And then other people come in and make up the stuff in between it. They storyboard it. And just like the guy who had to storyboard that scene was on another level of, he's like playing 4D chess, trying to figure out how we're going to get from here to here and what the camera is going to do. And then where's the T-Rex going to come in? Like, it's just like,
we got the cat. We got to get
like insane amount of work you had to have gone into that scene.
Yeah. I don't know what my favorite part of the movie would be. Oh, you know what? I do remember. It was probably when Gwen and Miles are out doing their thing, and they sit upside down on the city.
That was cool.
That was some of the most beautiful background animation I've seen in a movie.
It was really
so cool.
Someone pointed out, I saw today on Reddit that they even like incorporated the fact they're upside down into their facial animation. So like their eyes and lips and skin are just kind of sagging upwards a little bit. And I was like, I didn't catch that, but that's really cool.
It was a really cool moment. And it was also a really good scene too, where they're talking about, you know, the emotional side of being Spider-Man and nobody knowing, but it was really cool. That's probably my favorite part.
That was really cool. My second favorite part, because Cole stole mine, was realizing that he's in the wrong universe after he uses the go home machine.
Yeah.
And I actually had this moment of dread where it's like, okay, we're in the wrong universe. He's captured. The other people don't necessarily know what universe he's in. He doesn't have one of those wristbands. Like he's actually kind of in a bit of a pickle right now. Yeah. And like as that weight kind of crushed in a little bit, I was like, that's actually kind of terrifying. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, I don't know.
Unless the others come to help him, which I'm sure they will, right?
I mean, kind of left off on that.
Yeah, but like it's one of those situations where if they chose not to or couldn't, he's dead. Like there's nothing he's going to do unless he's going to reverse engineer one of those watches, which I don't think he's capable of doing.
No, probably not.
Not this Spider-Man. He doesn't strike me as like, like Miles Morales seems like different from like how Peter Parker is, or he's like kind of like the science nerd.
Yeah.
I mean, Miles is obviously smart, but he
talks about wanting to go study interdimensional travel.
He doesn't really show that like as much as they showed in all the other ones.
For sure. Weird one, and I honestly I don't really have one. Did you guys have a least favorite part?
I mean, I would say my part is like a whole. It's not like a specific part. It's like kind of what I mentioned earlier. When there would be so much happening, it's like it's just a lot to take in.
So just like overload.
Overload. Like I had to like shut my eyes for a second. Like this is hurting my eyes. I'm getting my head's hurting a little bit here. Looks cool, but it's like goodness.
I don't know that I necessarily have a least favorite part. I didn't hate the movie. It's just not my favorite movie, so I don't really have like necessarily a least favorite part. Really,
that's okay. Another cop out, like Cole called his a cop out earlier before we started recording. A cop out for me would be when the camera was panning down on Miguel the first time because they didn't have any sort of filter on him. Like I said, the CGI on his face looked, and the camera was moving smoothly, so you didn't have those missing frames. Looked really bad. I think that was like the ugliest shot in the movie for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me, but I thought it looked really bad. So that was probably just those 10 seconds or so tops were my least favorite part of the movie. But I mean, speaks good of the movie if our least favorite part is nitpicks.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
very, very cool how they incorporated live action into this.
Yeah.
Like with Childish Gambino, and Andrew Garfield and stuff like that. Just having them there, I thought was really cool.
Okay, can I go back to another favorite part of mine?
Absolutely.
The Lego Spider-Man world.
That was real good.
And they had that, and along with their J. Jonah Jameson having the dialogue just pulled from Spider-Man 1.
Yeah. That was good.
It was real good.
I'm like, I kind of wish we were in. I kind of just want a full Lego Spider-Man movie like they did with Batman.
Hey, they could do it. The Lego movies are top notch.
They are really good.
I do appreciate the Lego movies.
Every now and then, the meme lives rent free in my mind. It's like Michael Jordan Lego, and he's like, "All right, let's get this." And they build the thing. And goes, "Y'all ready for this?" And it throws the basketball, and the guy swats it away, and he goes, "Oh no, they were ready." Those movies are so stupid, but I love them so much.
Especially the Batman one. The Batman one.
The Batman one's good.
Maybe my favorite Lego movie they've done.
It probably is the best one.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Oh, Josh, you got to watch it. It's golden.
It's also it's so cool and how it's animated, and the jokes, while aimed at children, are definitely not wasted on adults. Like, they're smart jokes. Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's
you
something.
made a comment about this movie being a kids movie.
That was actually what I was getting ready to say. Like, they're pushing the boundaries for a kids movie in this one.
Yeah.
I didn't take this as a child's movie. I think like teenager to early 20s is who I think this movie was more focused on.
I don't disagree.
I go preteen.
It may be in that it's like, maybe that's who their target audience is, but I think at the end of the day, people that are going to go see this, like marketing, things like that, I feel like it was marketed as a kid's movie. I didn't see the trailers. Was it not?
I mean, it didn't really.
I don't remember.
It didn't really go in either. Like, it just looked like a superhero movie.
Yeah.
Is it PG or PG-13?
I thought it was PG.
I think it's PG.
9 times out of 10, we see a PG movie that is like, maybe not like Despicable Me levels of kids movie, but like kids movie. Honestly, I mean, what's Despicable Me rated? Isn't that PG?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I mean,
Last Wish was PG, and it had quite a few.
Yeah.
It is PG.
Last Wish is another one where it's like, and Shrek in general. Shrek is like, okay, this is a children's movie, but is it?
How far can we push it?
Is it really a kids movie?
Yeah.
And I mean, the first Shrek movie, they didn't know that adults were going to like it as much as they did. Like,
no,
that actually was supposed to be a kids movie. Wild to think about. Boners in a kids movie. Let's not go there. But no, this one, yeah, like,
I hope that someone just takes that one little soundbite and uses it forever.
I hope so too. Tag me.
Yep.
But no, like, yeah, the story was very dark. I think is the most general term I could use for it, for being a kids movie. Josh, you mentioned it earlier. Canon events. How do we feel about canon events?
I saw a meme about the canon events.
I saw a few before the movie, and I didn't realize they were about Spider-Verse. And
I saw one that was specifically to Spider-Man, though.
Was it?
Yeah. It's
what
like,
was yours?
Well, I saw one where it's like, because we can assume that the emo Peter dance is a canon event because they did it in Spider-Man 3 and they did it in the first Spider-Verse movie. So it must be a canon event.
Mine was significantly more dark. It was like,
oh yeah, I never said mine was dark. I know what yours is.
It was
horrible.
a dance scene from Hotel Transylvania, and they were like all goofy dancing, and it was sped up, and it said me and the boys dancing after shooting an orphanage, realizing it must be a canon event because the universe didn't explode. It's like, and I saw that, and I was like, I mean, that's kind of like a cringe meme, whatever. And I just scrolled past it, and then now that I've seen this movie, it's like, it's a little funny.
It all makes sense.
It's a little funny now. Maybe if I'd seen this movie and then saw that meme, I wouldn't have found it funny. But because I saw the meme, had no clue what it was about, and then now it's like, oh, I've
putting
seen
the pieces together.
Yeah. I
do like that they addressed it, that every Spider-Man has the same. You got to have the same story. Uncle Ben being killed, the cop, the kiss with Mary Jane.
And maybe this is where they're going to go with it. I think they addressed it well in No Way Home. Mm-hmm. Like, these are things that happen. Like, every Spider-Man has their version of a tragic moment that makes them, become stronger. But it wasn't ever pitched as it's inevitable, or like, if you had known about it, you couldn't have stopped it. Whereas, like, in this one, you have Miguel being like, no, if you even try to stop this, the whole universe implodes. And it's like, I think
maybe it's one of those things where it's like, no one's gonna like no one's gonna call him on it because he's
Yeah.
kind of the leader of him. It's like, I mean, why would you take the risk on that?
And I think Elena's sister on the way home made the comment. She goes, I don't know. He just seems sketchy. I don't know if I trust him. And I was like, I think that's the direction you're
the
supposed
point,
to
yeah.
go with
I
this.
think
Like,
he's going to be a second villain in the in the third
a
movie.
quote unquote villain,
Yeah.
even though he's a Spider-Man.
Anti-hero.
Yeah, he's set in his ways.
so, yeah, I think that we're going to find out that he's not entirely correct, you know. But if we find that out, I feel really bad for all the spider people that like watched their loved ones die.
Yeah.
And then it's like, wait, you're telling me I could have stopped this?
I mean, but they did show, and I guess maybe it was just Spot, but they did show the universe like imploding whenever he saved that captain
Yeah.
and the daughter.
And they're
so-
like setting stuff up to fix it. And I don't know what that entails. I kind of wish they had panned away.
yeah.
I was wondering if the fix was like a strike force going in and eliminating the captain. Just been like, sorry, Spider Cop here, you have to die.
Well,
Bang.
it seemed like they were setting up like a bunch of beacons around the hole. I was like, are they just going to shoot a bunch of spider webs into it and like close it up? Or what? What's going
Stitch
on
up
here?
the
Web
wound.
up that hole.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're gonna do. That is maybe the element that I'm the most excited for in the new one. How are they going to address this? Because let me ask you this, honestly, because I have very mixed feelings about it. Do you think for a good story, his dad should die?
I mean,
Yeah, I'm on the fence because it's like, okay,
if they write it in a good way, like where if say he doesn't die, if they write it in a way that isn't just like a cop out kind of way, where it's like explain why the universe didn't implode. You made all this big fuss about it.
Mhm.
If they handle it the right way, it'll be good. They just can't I would say just don't be sloppy or no MacGuffins, none of that.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Like, if his dad lives, it's going to go to show that Miguel was wrong and you maybe can save things, but then it sets up like a lot of problems. One is that, like, okay, well, obviously it's a kid's movie. He saved his dad. Duh. Like, we knew that was going to happen. But then also it does set up, like, should we start saving all spider people's families going forward? It sets up a lot of like ethical issues too. I think if they kill him in a well done way, I think it would be a lot more impactful. Like, not necessarily to say you shouldn't try to not save him, but like if he does wind up dying, I think it'll be really good for Miles's like character progression, and like they could do it in a good way because he kind of ended on a fight with his dad. So I don't know. Like, I'm interested to see where they go with it. I have mixed feelings, and I don't know what is the better way to write that scene.
Yeah, I don't know either. That's a hard decision to make. I can see it both ways, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they go.
Mm-hmm. After we watch movies, or like especially if it's bad, I try to think how would I have done this, and that's one that like I don't envy the writers in that writer room figuring out how to handle this. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah.
I think that, man, that's all my notes. Like, it was a really good movie. Who's your favorite spider person?
Man, that's a tough one. I mean, I like.
It wasn't Scarlet Spider.
I mean, Scarlet Spider's pretty cool.
Was that Andy Samberg?
I don't know.
I think Scarlet Spider was Andy Samberg. Now that I'm like thinking about it, I was trying to
Look
put
it
the
up.
voice
I
to
mean,
it.
I mean, that's a good one. They gave us a glimpse, and I'm happy they did it. A glimpse of a Bagman.
Oh, I missed that, I guess.
I was looking in the background during the spider chase scene.
Okay.
For Bagman.
Oh, hold on. Was that the Spider-Man with the bag on his head?
Yeah,
I did see
or
him.
it's a Fantastic Four suit.
I did see him, yeah.
Yeah, that's another like throwaway comic thing.
Yeah. The Insomniac Spider-Man game has a lot of those costumes in it.
That's pretty much a lot of what like the PS1 had. It's like
Yeah.
pretty much the same. And really, they did. Some of these spider people I found out about because the PS3 had that Shattered Dimensions game where it's the first Spider-Man multiverse story. That's where you learn about the Noir Spider-Man and 2099 Spider-Man.
Yeah. It does feel like Spider-Man has been exceptionally well set up to do multiverse stuff over the past like 10 years.
I think my favorite spider person would probably be the cowboy on the horse.
Oh, that one was pretty cool.
That one was really good.
hilarious.
I've never seen that one.
Why does the horse have a mask? To protect his secret identity.
Yeah, that one was really good. Elena's, I think, is the cat. I expected it to be the T-Rex because she loves T-Rexes, but it was the cat.
Yeah, Andy Samberg was Scarlet Spider.
Okay. Cool.
I mean, he may be up there. It's him and Bagman didn't have a lot of screen time. That Scarlet Spider though was pretty good.
Scarlet Spider was really good.
The T-Rex caught me off guard.
T-Rex was cool.
Flip. His little T-Rex hands doing the webs.
I loved I think it was the Indian Spider-Man.
Yeah, that was a cool one. That was a cool take.
I loved that his web was like, it's not a yo-yo. It has like a name, but that was his web slinger. Like he didn't shoot web. He had a very unique design, a very unique city, a very unique like environment.
And obviously, I think it goes out saying the punk rock Spider-Man Hobie
was pretty sick.
Cool. Even though I wasn't a big fan of the editing around him, I liked the design and how cool he looked.
See, he was one of my favorites animation wise because similar to Vulture at the beginning, he was like on paper and like he occasionally would go black and white depending on like what his background was and his mood. I thought that was kind of cool.
I like how like his accent was so thick you couldn't understand what he was saying most of the time.
Yeah, and most of his lines were just typical punk rock, like it's the patriarchy kind of stuff.
The Ramones, the Sex Pistols kind of thing.
You mentioned not understanding his dialogue, and I felt this about a lot of the characters. The mix was really not good for this theater, like especially Gwen's monologue at the beginning when she's drumming. I feel like
that was terribly hard to listen to, or hard to hear.
But I felt that throughout a lot of the movie, I couldn't hear.
Is that a theater problem or a movie problem? Like,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess we'll find out when it comes out.
Like if we go to watch it at Josh's house is on his sound system, and that's still a problem. It's definitely a movie problem. Right now, I'm gonna assume it's maybe a theater-ish problem. Like maybe it was mixed for like better speakers in a bigger room.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Our theater was running it pretty hot. I mean,
it was.
They were running it like 80 dB.
Yeah,
is only about 5 dB above reference, but still,
it annoyed me.
Felt hot.
Yeah, when I go to a movie, like I want that experience, that AMC magics, as the lady says at the beginning, because they make movies better.
We get there right in time for the stupid.
They make movies better.
Do they though?
No,
they do not.
Not AMC, not our AMC at least. But I go for that premium experience because I don't have the sound system at home. So whenever there are problems, when the seat recliner doesn't work, and when the movies mix is weird, and this is the first time we've had an audio issue at a movie.
No.
Like it's becoming a regular occurrence. Yep. Fix your stuff.
Yeah, I think our theaters are just getting old, and AMC is refusing to spend money on them.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of the streaming and stuff now is going to end up killing all the theaters.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. Like, I feel like a lot of stuff has come back to being only in theaters, though.
That is true, and I feel like the last couple theaters that we went to have been pretty full.
Packed.
This one was very full.
Yeah, I think that was a really big fear whenever everything started releasing, like straight to VHS, straight to streaming. But I think like
VHS.
Yeah, like I think like with the Black Widow movie sticking to theater only release, and I think theaters are fine. I'm not worried about their future. I'm worried they're going to get more expensive because everything is.
You're going to have to make up some ground on.
And to be fair, I'm part of the problem. Like I walked into that theater with a box of Junior Mints and a root beer, like that I bought at a Dollar Tree, right? Like I'm part of the problem. Like the reason that the food is so expensive is because they don't make that much money on ticket sales. Ticket sales go to like pay back their rental of the movie.
Yeah.
So like they don't make a ton of money on ticket sales, so that's why the food is so pricey. So when I walk in with my own food, I'm contributing to the problem of them growing more expensive. I recognize
Tyler.
this.
You gotta buy yourself an icy.
I'm not paying.
I do like an icy.
Ices are good.
Ices are good. That's my go-to
I'm
every
not
time.
paying $6 for a bottle of Dasani.
Yeah, that's
ridiculous. Well, you don't need a water. Just need an icy.
Need an icy? I need water or my kidneys die.
Well, you can bring the water, but also buy an icy on your way.
I might.
And back to Spiderverse.
Nope, never. We're reviewing the theater now, Josh. That's what we are. We're the theater group.
Yeah.
Gosh, I got nothing else on here, and I don't know if I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's a very good movie. I didn't dislike any of the scenes. My least favorite Spider-Man was probably the one on the motorcycle.
Yeah.
I don't know. She was cliche.
Yeah,
Weird.
She was tough. Female hero there.
Tough female lead. Yep.
Yeah, it was just. I don't even know if I don't know what it was. I think it was weird that like her spider powers are married to the bike.
Yeah.
I think was my issue.
It felt very video game-ish.
Yeah, when she loses the bike, she's like
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
a woman with glasses. Like,
She exists. Like,
yeah. So I don't know
I'm
what.
surprised your favorite wasn't the anime girl from the first one.
Penny, I like Penny. Penny's another weird one where it's like I don't know how married to the suit Penny is, like the mech, but at least like Penny's mech, like the spider is in the mech. So like at least hers like is the spider in the bike. You know what I mean? Like where like with Penny, I guess I get there's a bit more bounds.
I'm kind of upset we didn't get more Spider Noir.
It looks like we're gonna get more of him in the second one.
Yeah, but I wanted more in this one because he was the best.
My favorite Spider-Man, I don't think I said it earlier. I don't know if I have like one favorite, but there's one Spider-Man. I don't know what Spider-Man it was. It's when they were putting out all their equipment to like board up the void hole opening in the ground. Mm-hmm. There's one Spider-Man.
He's a thick boy.
Just so stupidly thick. Like his thighs were wider than his shoulders.
That's who I'm going as for Halloween.
It was just unreasonably caked up on his lower half. And I looked at Cole and I was like, dude, that Spider-Man is thick.
I've never seen
Was
that
he a
one before.
Pixar mom?
Yeah, it was beyond Pixar mom.
Pixar mom wishes.
I don't know what Spider-Man that was, what his powers
Porkins
were.
over here.
But some animator was just like, more.
More.
They were making it.
This guy really liked his Uncle Ben's rice over here.
Yeah. And I think he's my favorite just because I like to imagine that guy at the computer designing him. And he's just like, boss, how is this? And the boss looks at it and just like cranks the slider up. He's like, why does the slider stop at 10? He's like, we can make it go to 11.
We've got a million Spider-Man in this movie. Nobody's going to notice one thick one.
There's a couple thick-ish ones, but that one was like,
That one
oh,
was
Lord.
dummy thick.
Miguel's, I was very uncomfortable. Every time they did like a back pan shot of Miguel's Spider-Man, like his suit was a little too tight in the rear end. And I was like, Miguel, you're popping out over here.
Yeah.
Like, don't pan to the front. Like, I don't like this.
I liked the Avatar Spider-Man. That was kind of cool.
The girl who was VRing in?
Yeah, it was kind of a neat
I thought
concept.
you meant like there was a blue cat person.
No,
Spider-Man.
not the blue cat.
I was
people.
thinking Airbender.
I was like,
we all went different ways.
It's like there's an Airbender avatar as Spider-Man? What?
Yeah.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like, imagine like a bald Spider-Man just like airbending webs around everywhere.
That'd be kind of weird.
Be kind of sick.
they did the which has been done to death at this point now. They did it in the first Spider-Verse movie, and they did it in No Way Home, where they did the Spider-Man meme of pointing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did.
I mean, it's kind of, I think it's state law. You got to have
I think
that.
you have to have that. When
I think
you
they
do
did it better in this one
They did.
because
Way
it was the people from the meme. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. They did it way better in this one with like
Yeah.
the whole everyone pointing at each other.
Like, okay, you peaked. You don't need to do it again.
No,
Like, don't even try to top it because you did it perfectly.
they have to do it again.
How are they going to
Every
outdo?
Spider-Verse movie.
Yeah, if they don't do it in the next one, it's getting a 0 for me. On that note, let's go to the rubric. I'll start us off here again. Plot. I'm going to give a 5. Plot's the hardest one for me. Because what they gave me, I
Part of
liked.
a story. It's not the full thing yet.
But that's the problem. Yeah, what they gave me, I really
You're
liked.
basing it off this movie.
This movie, I think what they gave was good. I loved what they did with Spot, turning him from villain of the week into like someone that should be feared. I love how well they incorporated the Spider-Verse as not just like a one-off fluke thing that happened in the last movie. It's like an established canon. I don't think we talked about this. I loved what they did with Miles exists because someone was messing with the multiverse. There shouldn't be 2 Spider-Men. He's an anomaly. I think that's kind of a cool twist on the thing. I'm going to, for now, may change my mind, after watching the second one, it might retroactively influence me. I'm going to give plot a 5 for now. Cool.
I'm going to go same. I have plot as a 5. I mean, the story, obviously it's one part of a 2-part story, but for what they built up and how they handled it, I think they did a really good job. I'm excited for the next Spider-Verse movie.
Yeah.
I would say probably a 5 as well. Plot is probably my favorite part of the movie because I feel like the story they did tell was really good. I really liked Gwen's character development and her backstory and how she's adjusting to this life in this world. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah. Josh, why don't you go ahead and start us off because I feel like it ties in really well. Characters,
probably gonna go 5 as well with that. As I liked Miles' character, He had a few moments where I was just like, he's kind of a bratty teen, and I don't get that with a lot of other Spider-Man. But overall, I liked all the characters.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also a 5. There were tons of characters in this one, but then the ones that mattered, they gave time to exposition. Sometimes it was an exposition dump, but they gave them time to actually grow. I loved the stuff with Gwen and her dad. I love the stuff with Miles and his parents. I really am excited to see what they do with his dad being dead in the new universe and his uncle and his evil self being there. Like, I'm really excited to see how he's going to handle that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think characters also like very well done. 5 for me there.
I'm going to go 5 as well. Kind of echoing everything you said, but also, you know, they had a lot of characters to manage, and even like little one-off lines for a lot of the Spider people. They gave them their own personality and they made them stand out. So that's, you know, good on them. Because a lot of them, I don't think, are actual. Actually, I know a lot of them aren't actual. Like, they got their own thing. Like, they kind of had to create a lot for this movie.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So I mean, Dinosaur Spider-Man, golden, has its own personality there.
If we don't get a Spider-Man spin-off comic book, I'm going to be very upset.
Spider Dino or whatever.
Yeah. Alrighty. Cole, why don't you start us off with direction?
I'm gonna go 4.
Okay.
You know, for me, I think kind of we talked about like where the lips would kind of get off a bit, and also the animation as a whole. Like, while it looked really good, I think a lot of it was overdone to the point where it's overwhelming. So I'm just gonna knock it off a point for that and call it that. Call it a 4.
I think I'm also going to go 4. I hesitated as to whether to put my animation gripes about the blending with the direction or the continuity. I think I'm going to put it with direction. I'm not holding the audio mixing against them yet. See what happens when it comes out and we watch it at your house. You know, but like, yeah, animation ambitious, but it definitely left some stuff to be desired. But it was very, very good nonetheless. So 4 is, I mean, very good.
Yep, I'm going to go 4 as well. For all really the same reasons. I felt like it's 2 hours and 16 minutes, which is kind of long for an animated kids movie.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was a little bit drawn out and a little bit slow in some parts, and the animation was good overall, really good overall. Just had some hiccups here and there.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and start us off with this next one, which is continuity, which is such a headache to do with this kind of movie because
So much happening.
there's so much happening.
And like so much of it doesn't matter.
There's so much that doesn't matter. There's
Like,
so
you
much
can't really-
that's not explained yet.
Can't do it and really get a full grasp of it until the new one comes
Until
out.
the next one comes out. But then on top of all that, it's a kid's comic book
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
So like
It didn't really wrap anything up, so you don't really know how the continuity is going to go. Should we
like-
just omit continuity from this rubric?
No, I think we didn't do it for Avatar.
Yeah, I'm just giving continuity a 5 for now. Like, I mean, I had based this movie on its whole, isolated from everything else. I didn't have anything that's a gripe. I didn't have anything that I'm pointing to and being like, how did they do that? Like, that doesn't make sense. There's a plot hole.
I mean,
Really wasn't any in this movie. Like, it's solid. It's patched up. I especially with how much is going on. So I'm gonna give it a 5.
yeah, I mean, I can't really think of anything off the top of my head where there would be a continuity issue. So I'd go probably 5.
Okay.
The only thing I was just trying to think of, like, if there's anything. The only thing I can think of is at the end or towards the end when he's in the wrong universe. He glitches like one time, but whenever he was in the spider capital place, I feel like before he had the bracelet on, he was glitching every like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so like it was just like, oh well, he glitched to show he was in the wrong universe, but then didn't glitch afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, you could look at that. That once again goes back to like it's a comic book movie because
Yeah,
like in the first movie
It's,
they
it's
didn't
really
have,
a nitpick.
in the first movie they didn't have the bracelets at all, and it
Ooh,
seemed
really?
like
Oh, that's right. They didn't.
people glitched when it was convenient for a joke or convenient for the plot. You know, so like
I may be going down to a 4 because of that.
I mean, if they glitched the whole time, the movie wouldn't happen.
I know,
It
but
would
like,
look ridiculous.
yeah,
yeah.
but I feel like you could balance it out a little bit.
He glitched in the new universe. He glitched like 2 or 3 times. Like he glitched pretty soon when he realized he was in the wrong one. I don't know.
I'm going down to 4.
You're
Going down to a
going
4.
I'll probably just stick with a 5. There wasn't really anything.
I love that you're not even going down to the 5. But
I
you
didn't bring it up.
accidentally convinced Cole down to a 4.
I didn't bring it up
I
as a
didn't have
major
anything to gripe.
issue.
That's you made a point.
Yeah.
And then the same with bring up the first movie because it's existing in that universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
You got to play by those rules.
Josh, why don't you start us off on the last category with enjoyment?
Enjoyment.
The most important category.
This is tough because everybody loves Spider-Verse.
If you hate it, that's
Say,
okay.
don't
I
do what-
didn't hate it.
Say,
You
listen.
want to be lambasted on the internet?
Hey, Josh, I didn't like Avatar, and Tyler still was mad at me about
That's
it.
true. I'm probably just going to go with a 3. It was just okay for me.
All right. I wasn't expecting a 3. This actually
I
is.
kind of was feeling it was going to be a 3 for you.
I
Josh.
wasn't expecting a 3.
I knew it wasn't getting over a 4.
I didn't hate it, but it's just not like, if you guys want to watch it, yeah, we'll watch it at my house. But I'm not going to go out and buy this movie and watch it again.
Tyler's face.
A 3. What is Josh giving a 3 to? That's what I want to go back
On
and
enjoyment, I really don't know.
like.
Avatar?
I think Josh
enjoy
gave.
most movies.
I think Josh gave him a 3 gun a 3.
No, I mean,
I don't know if I did on the 3 gun or not.
I'm gonna go back and listen. That's what I want to know. I want to compare where Josh's other 3s been to decide if I should be upset.
I don't know. Black Panther, did you do a 3 on that one? Like,
Black
No,
Panther scored
I
well.
liked I like
No,
Black Panther.
we like Black Panther. All right.
And maybe I would enjoy it on a second viewing. Maybe.
I think you might
I don't
enjoy it
know.
more if you saw the first one. Too.
If I watched the first one. all the
stop
way
falling
through.
asleep and stop watching it the worst
I
possible
fell asleep during this one.
I don't understand how you can fall asleep.
Yeah, that's
I was nodding off at the end of this one. So it's just like, I don't know. Spider-Verse can't keep my attention.
man.
You're starting to sound like a different Josh friend we have.
I think he listens to the podcast now.
I think he does.
You know,
yeah.
who you
you know
are.
who you are. Cole, what do you think about for enjoyment?
5.
Okay, I mean,
Easy.
easy 5 for me too. Yeah, like Josh is sweating bullets over here. That's our Josh. You're entitled. Like I said, you're entitled to bad opinions. No, it was a 5 for me.
Yeah, I mean it's everything you would want from this movie, and obviously it just being like a part 1, even though it's like it's the second movie, but it's a part 1 to like the overarching story here.
Yeah. Well, Josh brought us down just a little bit. That's okay though, except it's not. But the final score, it still has an A. It's barely scraping by with a 90.67. So we'll round that to a 91%, almost an A-, but good. It was a good movie. I'm very, very much looking forward to the next one.
This one, have you looked at like the Rotten Tomato stuff?
I
just
haven't.
did a while ago, yeah.
What is it?
It's like it's an upper 90s. I think this is the highest Spider-Man movie on Rotten Tomatoes.
Is it more than the first one? Because you mentioned earlier, people who watched the first one loved the first one.
I think it's more than the first one.
I think it is more than the first one.
And actually, Tyler, I want you to take a guess on which one has the lowest, which Spider-Man movie
out of all of them,
out of all of them has the lowest Rotten Tomato score.
my gut says 3, but the fact that you're phrasing it like this, I feel like that's a trap.
What do you think?
Amazing Spider-Man 2.
You are correct.
Okay,
They
there
got it was in the 50s.
I feel like people will meme review Spider-Man 3, and for what it's worth, Spider-Man 3 has some redeeming qualities about it.
It's still my least favorite.
It's bad, yeah.
It's bad. But I think Amazing Spider-Man 2 doesn't get it gets hate, but it's like it's bad for the same reasons, where it has a lot of things it introduces, doesn't resolve anything.
Yeah. I think Spider-Man 3 has bad moments but in a good movie, whereas Spider-Man 2, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, was just very meh. It didn't do anything great.
I mean, you got Spider-Man wearing a firefighter hat, helping the fire department. I mean, that's golden.
That is kind of cool. It's a good GIF.
That's
good
about
meme
it, though. I mean, and you get the Gwen Stacy death.
It's true. Spoilers.
So
If you haven't seen that movie,
My
it's
friends
been
are still
9 years.
My friends are still mad at me because I hadn't even seen the movie at the time, and it had been I thought a reasonable amount of time afterwards, and we were talking about something, and it had been spoiled for me on Facebook that she died, so I just assumed everyone knew it. Once again, hadn't even seen the movie, and I made a joke about it.
Gwen Stacy?
Yeah, I made a joke about it, and my friends still assume I'm the worst about spoilers because of that moment. Me and some friends finished a book series earlier, and I texted in the group chat. I said, "Hey, I finished the book," and one of them instantly responded, "No spoilers." It's what's it gonna give you?
It's
spoilers?
literally the most iconic Spider-Man death outside of Uncle Ben.
Yeah,
true.
But it was new at the time, and I hadn't even. I
But
just assumed
it's done
everyone knew.
the death in every other aspect.
All I can think of in relation to that is Endgame came out in like a week at the time this was happening. I worked at Logan's
Oh,
Roadhouse.
I love this story.
Endgame came out in like a week, and I was sweeping up peanut dust, and I said, "It looks like Peter Parker over here." And one of my coworkers was like, "What do you mean?" I said, the end of Infinity War. And they're like, "Spoilers!" And I was like, her name is Kim. I was like, "Kim, the movie's been out for like a year now." It's like, you've had so much
There's
time.
a 2-week gap where
I was like, Endgame comes out in a week. It's like, you can't even be mad about that. She was very upset about it. And I was like, I'm not feeling bad for this one.
Tyler,
That is on you.
I don't remember which Marvel movie it was. It was either Endgame or No Way Home. But like, you had saw it before I went and saw it. And you entered chat like, "Hey, just got out of the theater." I'm like, "Nope." And I just like removed you from the chat. Like, you hadn't even ever spoiled anything for me before, but I'm still paranoid.
I don't think I've ever spoiled anything for you guys here. Maybe I have, yeah. But
I'm like, I ain't trusting it. I ain't trusting you.
yeah. No, I do enjoy every now and then, because that is like my mantle, is I'm apparently the spoiler of things. I'm just like purposely dropping wrong spoilers.
Purposely.
That everyone died.
leading
There
people
was
wrong.
someone, going back to story, our good old friend Jonah. We need Jonah back on the podcast.
We
at some
do,
point.
yeah.
Been a bit.
Is that one of his friends, and this story kills me because when Endgame came out, and he goes, they were doing the same thing where they're yelling wrong spoilers, like just in public places, and one of them goes, "Yeah, isn't it crazy how Thanos died in the first 10 minutes of Endgame?" I mean, it's not wrong. It's not.
That's pretty funny. People give Mark Ruffalo a bad rap. It may have been him and Tom Holland.
Tom Holland's the worst.
Tom Holland is apparently the worst. But
He's the actual worst.
I can't remember who. I think it was Mark Ruffalo who they were doing an interview with him and Don Cheadle, and he said like, "Oh, you guys are gonna love like this new movie. Everyone dies," and like. I think he was just making a joke. I don't think he was actually like spoiling the movie. But if it hadn't been for Don Cheadle being like, "Dude," like to his left, like no one would have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he was just goofing, and I still think about that every now and
No,
then. It's like he's been given like the mantle of like the worst spoiler in Hollywood. But like if it hadn't been for Don Cheadle, he would have been fine.
I would argue that Tom Holland is the worst because it seems like every time anything comes out that he's involved in, like. Just don't watch anything that has Tom Holland if it's building up to a movie. Because he can't keep a straight face. He will let things slip. He's like that one friend that you can't tell a secret to because it just comes out.
Tom Holland didn't accidentally live stream the first half of Thor Ragnarok on his Instagram because Mark Ruffalo forgot to turn off his Instagram live feed and he put a spoon in the cup holder. That's what I'm saying. I think Mark Ruffalo was easily worse.
He's accidentally the worst.
He accidentally live streamed like apparently like the first
That's
quarter.
really funny.
Like executives were coming and trying to find him in the theater. To
Mark,
turn off his phone.
come on, bro.
Goodness.
Goofy. Alrighty. Hey, I'm going on vacation this week, and you're going on vacation the week I get back, right?
Yeah, we're leaving Thursday.
Yeah. So it's probably going to be
I'm
a
not
hot.
going on vacation.
Well, Cole, you should take a break from doing nothing.
I'm almost
just sit around and do nothing.
I'm almost done with my house. I mean, I can move in, so that's
Yeah. That's exciting, though.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll celebrate that when we get back. So it's going to be a few weeks before our next movie. I think the one we agreed we're going to see when we come back is Teenage Kraken. I think that's what we agreed.
no.
That looks awful.
In seriousness, though, I think we need to sit down and watch Air.
Honestly, yeah, I would love to.
Sounds
I
good.
totally would love to watch
That
Air.
way, also, I mean, because what's coming out? I mean, Dial of Destiny is coming out. If we want to go see Indiana Jones,
I'm not excited for that movie.
I mean, it's gonna probably suck, but I'm here for it.
Yeah.
When does Gran Turismo come out? Because I
August.
do want to see that.
That looked pretty good, too. August, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I liked that. That looks good. I keep meaning to look up if that's actually based on Gran Turismo.
Probably isn't.
Because there's so
probably
many
not.
racing sims out there that are actual simulators, and Gran Turismo is not a sim.
What are you talking about? Totally, it's the most realistic.
Forza is more of a simulator than
What are
Gran
you talking
Turismo.
about? It's the most realistic sim.
Yeah. Sony doesn't own Forza, though. They own Gran Turismo. So
Yeah.
I'm curious. I'm going to look into that. See, Dune 2 comes out this fall. I'm looking forward to that one. That's going to be a hot second. Maybe we could watch Dune at your house. And then
Maybe.
do a rubric on it.
Yeah.
Like a post rubric.
Still haven't
Yeah,
seen
maybe.
old Dune.
We need to watch Dune. And then maybe you guys will watch Dune and not like it, and then I'll have to go see the new Dune by myself, which would make me very sad.
Being there, Susan may think like this movie's gonna be great. I promise.
Listen, I love Dune. I also understand that it's like a strong drink. It's not for everyone, right? It takes like a very specific type of nerd to love Dune the
Like
way that I
Avatar?
do.
The things coming out of their nose give me the heebie-jeebies. It looks like an NG tube.
It kind of is.
It's like
an oxygen
weird.
tube. I mean, it's a what it is.
Guys, can we pad it for 15 more seconds to get it to an hour?
All right. Yeah. I mean, I can just like
15
fart into the
seconds?
microphone if you
I
want.
think you should.
I can just like really let one rip.
We want to make it to an hour.
I keep talking though. I don't have to let one rip because we're down to. Oh my gosh! I feel like it stopped counting when I looked at it. It just like held on the 7
There we
and
go.
we made
We're
it.
at an
There
hour.
we
Yay.
go. Alrighty. We normally do an hour. I'm not worried about
It's pretty
clearing it.
close.
No,
Alrighty.
I want it to exceed.
We're rambling at this point. Thank you for listening. We will be back eventually. Have a good night.